Welcome to Tesseract Talks, the podcast where we put the spotlight on latest technology trends. I'm your host, Marko Rukavina, the founder and CEO of Tesseract Analytics. Today, we're diving into the evolving world of data platforms. Enterprises are increasingly looking for ways to unify data movement, transformation, and activation while maintaining open and flexible foundations. Joining us is Anjan Kundavaram, Chief Product Officer at Fivetran. Over the last year, Fivetran has acquired Tobiko Data and Census and recently announced its merger with DBT Labs, positioning itself as truly end-to-end data platform. Anjan, welcome to Tesseract Talks. How are you?
Hey, Marco, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Great. And we are happy to have you here. So before we get into the big announcements, can you share a bit about your background and how you came to Fivetran?
Yeah, so I've been in the data space for a long time, 20 plus years. Started my career at IBM in good old enterprise software and IBM and DB2 and kind of building databases and so on. And I've been in the data space for a long time. I was at one point competing with Fivetran. And then like Fivetran kind of came onto the scene, and I was just so impressed with what the founders built at Fivetran, George and Taylor. And when I got the call, I was like, yeah, I know about Fivetran. Like, we were losing to Fivetran. So like, I was so inspired by the product that when I got the call and when we had the conversation, that I thought, it's really, the team is innovating here. And as a product leader, you want to work with the team that's innovating and disrupting. So that I kind of saw the product in action, competing with it. And when I got the chance, if you can't beat them, join them, was kind of my story, I guess.
Great. And looking back at your career, what drew you into the data platform space? And how have your experiences shaped your approach to building end-to-end solutions?
Yeah, it's a good question. I got to think about this a little bit. I've mostly worked in sort of enterprise software kind of vendors, but I had an opportunity where I was in the reverse, where we were creating a data platform for insurance, but we were using software from vendors like Spark and so on. So my intuition was like you would like put yourself in the shoes of the customer. Was that role? What you realize is you try these vendors and they're like not reliable, and you get all this capability and only some of that works. So sort of the intuition that you want is like do some things really, really well and do them reliably and do that consistently. And Fivetran is a very good example of that. We don't kind of spread too thin. And when you integrate adjacent capabilities, be very, very thoughtful about it and not spray and shouldn't spray. Reliability matters a lot. And it takes a long time to build that trust and only a few instances to lose that trust. And I think that's sort of my intuition about building end-to-end solutions is the few things really matter. The core use cases really matter, and don't rush into adjacency markets and be really, really thoughtful.
Can you tell us now a bit, maybe your take, how has the data integration and analytics landscape evolved over the past few years, and what challenges are enterprises still facing when it comes to moving, transforming, and activating data?
Yeah, look, I talked to a lot of senior people, and over the last couple of years, the CIO, CDO conversations have been in. It's been clearly about, hey, my boss is asking me about agentic AI. What do I do about agentic AI? And it's interesting. And often it's like, as the time passed on, it's like, well, my agentic AI story isn't working and sort of the results aren't resonating. And then you kind of probe a little deeper. You often find that like the data foundation is quite weak. You really haven't invested in bringing all your data together. You really haven't figured out what your analytics needs are. And then sort of to compound and go do agentic AI, it's really, really hard. That's sort of one major trend. Getting your data in one place and doing advanced analytics was always very important. Now I think it is imperative because I can do things that analytics couldn't. I can look at unstructured data. It can give you answers across lots of things. It can kind of do reasoning. It can write code on the fly. The competitive disadvantage of not having a really good data foundation just grew exponentially. it was already bad. Like if you're like a data first company and you use data as an advantage and a foundation, now with what AI can do, it is going to be a significant threat if you're not doing it. And that's kind of, that urgency is showing up in my conversations. So I think your data leaders are starting to finally realize that they need to invest in a good data foundation to drive that output in agentic AI. AI is driving a lot of conversations. That's clearly not a surprise to anybody. But the surprise, I think, is there's still a lot of enterprises, still lots of customers that have not made the meaningful investment into data, and they got to get that right first before you can go do something meaningful with AI.
Before doing that next jump with all the latest tech and AI. Fivetran has been very busy last couple of years. You have acquired Tobiko Data and Census and recently announced the merger with DBT Labs. How do these moves fit into your vision of an end-to-end platform, and what makes this approach different from what existed before?
So it's a good question, Marko, and we deeply thought about. Let me kind of give you the why first, and then I'll tell you the thesis behind some of them. We think there ought to be an open alternative for customers to do data analytics. We are sort of calling this open data infrastructure. And we see a few problems. It's very consistent. One, customers want to go use multiple analytics systems, and they could be using Snowflake and Databricks or pick something else. And they make multiple copies of data. And it's really, really frustrating for the leaders because now they want to put AI on all of that. And they want to migrate from one to the other. It's really, really challenging. You see the same things for semantics. So AI, you're hearing a lot about context and semantics because you want to pass in the right way. And you see the same problem there. Some of your context in BI, some of your context is in DBT, some of your context is another system. It's going to be really hard for you to innovate with AI. So with open data infrastructure, our hope is it's open standards. Like every system in your architecture should have an open standard. If it's a data lake, that's Iceberg. If it's OSI and open semantics, or if it's ingestion, there needs to be clear interfaces defined. If it's transformation, it needs to be an open tool like DBT, and that will make it future-proof. I am of the belief that the analytics engine of the future may not even be invented yet, right? Like the pace at which AI is going, you might get something totally new, or some part of the data ecosystem might be built by some engineer that we haven't yet seen yet using Cloud Code. So if you are logged into a closed architecture, it's going to be very expensive for customers. And we think a true open data infrastructure, which is, I need to move my data, I need to transform it, I need a data foundation using a data lake, using a open table format, such as Iceberg, then I can connect to any query engine, whether that's Databricks or Snowflake or DuckDB or Lakehouse or BigQuery. That's customer's choice. Then I have the semantics and the context in one place. And then I use the AI agents and analytics. All of that should be open and should have interoperability. And it's just not us participating. It could be any of our competitors. We really, really believe that customers need not a vendor locked in choice, and we need an open standard. And now with that context, we do want to expand our capability. Census provides very important activation. It's not just about moving data, but if you get some really cool insight in your warehouse and you want to act on it, like, hey, I figured out a new sales lead, it's going to be pretty stale if you don't give that to your salesperson. Or if you figured out your customers about a churn, you want somebody in your customer success team to go act on it. And that's all about activation. Our data transformation story gets stronger. And then like we've certainly, DBT is a powerhouse. It's a leader in data transformation. We've only announced yet, we haven't merged yet. So all these capabilities make us a stronger candidate to push this open data infrastructure. And we think it's really important for our customers, whether they use our software, our competitors, to really invest in open data standard and open data infrastructure. And that is future-proofing. That more importantly in future-proofing, it's being AI ready, because AI is like, one thing we know about AI, things are changing very rapidly. And if you have a closed ecosystem, you're just going to put yourself in a world of hurt.
Can you maybe share an example of how a customer has benefited from combining Fivetran's data movement, transformation, and activation capabilities in practice?
Yeah, we've seen a few customers Sachs is one that comes to mind that I remember, where it used to take them 6 months to just put a basic data pipeline together into analytics. Now they can do that in 2 weeks. That's kind of using the combination of Fivetran, DBT, Snowflake. They are interested in like their customer success and their sales agents really harnessing the power of LLM. So they were able to get all the data in one place, do the analytics, and then think about activating back to the source of action, which is their employees. And I remember a quote from their technical leaders: "What took us 6 months, we can kind of do this in 2 weeks." Vistaprint recently partnered with us, and they have a lot of small, medium businesses. Same thing. They want the intelligence activating back. And the last one, OpenAI, uses this pretty actively. And like, you kind of imagine the scale at which they're operating at. They're trusting a partner like Fivetran to bring data movement and the reliability that we're known for.
With Fivetran now positioned as a complete end-to-end platform, how do you see the data integration, transformation, and activation landscape evolving over the next few years?
Yeah, I think a few things are going to be very important. And one of the things I hit on is like openness. Like I think customers really are going to care about openness. And it used to be open about the tools you're going to use. Like, hey, I want a tool that is open interoperable. It is also going to be important that you care about openness from your system of records. One of the increasing trend that we're seeing, which is like not good for customers, companies like Salesforce and SAP are saying, look, it's customer data, but we're going to start charging. And that's a bad trend, because you invest in system of records because that's your data. So we really urge the ecosystem, and we're going to be a voice here that the customer data is customer data. It needs to be open, and we think it's going to be powerful. Again, I think this ODI message is really resonating. Customers want a future-proof architecture. We think context and semantics is going to be extremely important. And again, it's one of those things where you really can't get there if your data foundation is not moved all your data in one place. Think about your transformation, think about investing in data lakes. And then finally, I think you think about semantics and context. So data movement, transformation, a unified data lake architecture are going to be created. And in particular, I would call out, once you do that, customers are going to really need to think about semantics and context and how they feed that to AI. And I think the next year is going to be likely the year of context and AI agents.
Well, great. Anjan, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your valuable insights and your perspective on the future of data platforms. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in and listening to Tesseract Talks. Anjan, I hope to see you either on another episode of Tesseract Talks in the future, or perhaps on some data event.
Marko, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.